Okay guys, prototyping. My knowledge of prototyping is creating something simple as a proof of concept. So prototyping uses to elicit and validate stakeholder needs through an iterative process that creates a model or design of requirements. It's also used to optimize user experience, to evaluate design options, and the basis for development of final business solution. So a prototype is not just on a product, it could also be on a model, it could also be on a solution. Description. Prototyping is proven method for product design. It works by providing an early model for the final result and known as a prototype. Prototyping is used, it's like the first BlackBerry, man, was literally just kind of like this big. But it showed proof of the software, and then basically what they did is redesigned it and spent money on it. Prototyping is used to identify both missing and improperly specified requirements and unsubstantiated assumptions by demonstrating what the product looks like and how it acts early stages of the design. My favorite image of this is basically, what's it called? Engine, SpaceX, engine evolution. So what I want to show you is basically the engine evolution of basically the SpaceX engine. And that's practically like the Raptor. One second. So that's primarily the first basically engine. You see how everything is set. That's the prototype, and they used it to test. And then the second one, and then by the time the third one is, look at how clean it became, right? Because every single evolution kind of like connected things differently and approached things differently and whatever, all that good stuff. So prototypes can be non-working models or working representations. Website prototypes are just kind of like, this is how the page would look like. It doesn't have to be connected to anything. Or in post-product, they can be used to mock up websites, serve as partially working construct or the product, describe a process through a series of diagrams such as workflow, business rules, and data prototypes. What are the elements? There are two common approaches. There's a throwaway prototype are generated with simple tools such as paper and pencil, whiteboard, and software to serve the goal of uncovering and clarifying requirements. The prototype may be updated to evolve during the course of discussion and development, but does not become workable code or get maintained as deliverable once the final system or process is implemented. This method is helpful for identifying functionality or process that are not easily elicited by other techniques, or have conflicting points of view, or are difficult to understand. These prototypes can be an expensive tool to uncover or confirm requirements that go beyond an interface, including requirements related to process data and business rules. What the fuck did I just read? So a throwaway prototype is just literally something designed through paper and plastic. It's not, I don't know, it's just the look. Right? It's just basically like it's standard. It could be updated or evolved during the course of discussion of development. And ultimately, it's just basically, imagine if I take a car and I make like a cardboard version of it. That's basically how a throwaway prototype would look like. An evolution or functional prototype are created to extend initial requirements as functioning solution. As in, like, there are things you can click. The car has wheels that move. It's not just like whatever wheel, right? This approach produces a working solution that usually requires a specialized prototyping tool or language. These prototypes can be used in the final solution. If specialized software is used, business processes, rules, and data can be stimulated to evaluate the impact of changes and validate desired outcomes. There are many prototyping examples. There's proof of principle, proof of concept, the prototype example. I talked about it before, the BlackBerry. It's a model created to validate the design of the system without modeling the appearance. Form study prototype is used to explore the basic size, look, and feel of a product that will be manufactured without creating actual functionality. It's used to assess ergonomic and visual factors using sculpture representations. This basically form study prototype probably is like throwaway one, because all you want to do is kind of like see how it looks like if it's actually printed. Because most designs are on paper or on computer stuff or on a screen, so like you bring it to real life so you can look at it and see different angles of it. Usability prototype is a product model created to test how the end user interacts with the system without including any of the properties, for example, appearance and configuration. A visual prototype is a product model created to test the visual aspects of the solution without modeling the complete functionality. A functional prototype is a model created to test software functionality qualities. The functional prototype is actually like a software that works, and then if it delivers what it's supposed to deliver, then they kind of like look at the software and they go like, okay, because software goes into 2 cycles, or at the very least, that's how everything should go. It's like first build something, build something that works. If you see it working, then your logic is true, but then what you do is you go and you refine it in order for it to be a better product. A visual prototype is just created to test the visual aspects of the solution. They do that a lot with cars, with cameras, with staplers, with any like these kinds of like small. There are a lot of like, I don't know, prototypes exist everywhere, man. Prototyping methods. The follow is a list of commonly used methods for prototyping. Their storyboarding is used to visually and textually detail the sequence of activities by summing up different interactions with solution of enterprise. Paper prototyping uses paper and pencil to draft an interface or process workflow, and you kind of like write them down, right? Workflow modeling depicts a sequence of operations that are performed and usually focuses solely on the human aspect. Simulation is used to demonstrate solutions or components of a solution. It may test various processes, scenarios, business rules, data, and inputs. Simulation is prototyping. Why not, right? Because you don't necessarily have to build a product, but you simulate if what the product does kind of like leads to the result that you want, then you kind of like build the product based on the simulation. Okay, workflow modeling is basically what we probably use as software engineers, because like, this has to go here and this has to use that and this person needs that. So like we kind of like test them out and then kind of like create the software for them. What are the usage considerations? The strengths: provides visual representation, allows stakeholders to provide input and feedback in early design process. When using throwaway paper prototyping methods, user may feel more comfortable being critical of the mockup because it's not polished and release ready. And our deep vertical prototype can be used for technical feasibility studies, proof of concept efforts, and to uncover technology and process gaps. Limitations: if the system or process is highly complex, the prototyping process may become bogged down with a discussion of how rather than what, which can make the process take considerable time, because like once you start talking about how, then ultimately you're beyond the prototype. You're no longer thinking get something done quickly. Underlying technology may need to be understood or assumed in order to initiate prototyping. If the prototype is deeply elaborate and detailed, stakeholders may develop unrealistic expectations of the final solution. They can range from assumed completion dates to higher expectations to performance, reliability, and usability. Stakeholders may focus on the design specifications of the solution rather than the requirements that any solution must address. This can in turn constrain the solution design. So the last two basically is if the prototype is too complicated, then expectations rise. But then by the end of it, the stakeholders may focus on the design specifications of the solution rather than the requirements that any solution must address. So they might start looking, it's one of those, like, when a new restaurant opens up and you go and you know the owner, and then that question they ask you, what do you think? And suddenly you're looking for opinions. I feel that's the last one, because the stakeholder may focus on the design specifications of the solution rather than the requirements that any solution must address. They can in turn constrain the solution design. Developers may believe that they must provide a user interface and a precise matches the prototype, even if more elegant technology and interface approaches exist. Fuck yeah. Oh, 10.37 reviews. Look at that.